Well, hey there, everyone, and welcome to today's VIP Trade Room with Roger Scott and Matt Horton. My name is Raleigh White, and I'm coming to you live from Austin, Texas, and I'm going to be your moderator today. And in today's session, Roger's going to be covering some pretty important topics, including number one on his list was continuing to answer questions from yesterday's mega session, where we talked about 10 of the things that tend to get in the way of helping traders become consistent and confident in their trading. It was a massive session. There were good questions, and Roger wants to answer some of the questions that he got in the mailbag over the night. We are also going to talk about the top stocks that are moving in the afternoon session. Then he's going to talk about how to properly use and decipher market internals. There were a lot of questions around that, and how to combine market internals with the Alpha Zone Pro for day trades, how to use the momentum oscillator to confirm directional bias, and then tips and tricks on how to use the Alpha Zone Pro to increase your win rate. So we got some great topics that are going to be covered during today's VIP session. Now, if you've got any questions during Roger's presentation, please type them in the chat window and we'll address them periodically throughout the session so as to not interfere with Roger's presentation. And please, folks, note that the chat is open to everyone, so remember the ground rules. Be kind, keep to the topic, no political discussions, and remember that we are a 100% supportive trading community. We're friends and family here, all trying to figure out how we can be more confident and consistent in the markets. Now, for those of you that were with us during today's pre-market open, Roger shared some key things, but number one, right off the bat, is that today kind of felt like yesterday. Most of the markets continue to be in a sideways range, and this has been their pattern throughout the month of August. Focus for this week really is on the second half of the week. We're expecting some critical tech earnings and a key PCE report that'll be coming out on Friday. We took a look at gold and crude and bonds and the euro and the US dollar, and there was no directional bias, no impetus for the stock. As a matter of fact, I got a kick out of Roger comparing the USD to Careless Whisper, like a like a slow song. And what we need is more energy, something like Paranoid, to get the markets going. But there's really no mojo coming from the bond market or the USD. When we were looking at the Dow, the SPY, the QQQ, the RSI, the IWM, they were all giving back their gains from last Friday, and they all appeared to be sitting there at key resistance levels. And as Roger says, be careful, folks. If they start to break below those resistance levels, we could be in for a little ride to the short side. He did note that China large caps continue to rise, remaining at 10-year highs, that Bitcoin was continuing lower below its range, probably largely impacted by slight increases in the energy market. And then something else was interesting here. He said, you know what, guys, take a look at what Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and Shell doing. They're all moving higher pre-market. And he says, I have no reason why. We'll call that an unknown catalyst, but it was something that he observed and said just something that we have to be aware of. As far as his catalysts for today are concerned, Fed data. We saw the durable goods and consumer confidence data coming out. So once again, Fed data, a catalyst. Chips, AMD was up 2% on an analyst upgrade. Consumer staples, Constellation Brands were down 1%. And you remember Roger says consumer staples tend to run as a pack. So when you have key companies like Dr. Pepper yesterday, Constellation Brands today moving lower, it's usually an indication that the entire sector is going to move that way. And as far as fintech is concerned, we noticed that IBKR was up about 4%. They were just listed yesterday on the S&P 500. Now, as far as Roger's small cap watch list was concerned, let me go ahead and publish this for you guys. There were three companies that he identified, and let me put those here for you, and you can see them. We had VRAX above 130. We also had IVVD above 155 and SER above 815. Now, the thing to remember about these small caps, folks, is that Roger's selection process is purely based on price action and volume. Once again, I think we all know this, or if you don't, you need to know it, that the small caps are not market dependent. The broader market doesn't have any impact on them because they're largely driven by individual investors like ourselves. The institutions are not pouring money into small caps. And always, 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 when considering these small cap trades, only look at them during normal market hours. Now, as far as Roger's daily watch list was concerned, let me publish this for you all. There were a number of shorts and longs that are on his list. And if there's anything I'd like to caveat at this point in time, Roger did list several shorts. In particular, he noted MDLZ and KAH were right there at the A line, looking like they were set for a nice break lower. But quite honestly, Roger's just staying away from shorts at this point in time. He doesn't believe there's any broader market sentiment there indicating that stocks are falling. Stocks just seem to be holding their head up. Everybody's trading at almost record highs, but it's just kind of stuck in this cloud right here. There's no real movement to the downside. That being said, the technicals do indicate that these are some potential shorts. On the long side, there was a number of stocks that he's got there. You see that they're all there. He took a look at each one of those, and the setups are, starting to look good. And his caution, as always, is folks, when taking a look at these shorts, all of these longs, make sure they are clearly breaking out before you consider trading them. So once again, it was a great pre-market session, and Roger set the table by saying, during the VIP room, here's my agenda. I'm going to answer questions from yesterday's mega session, and we had an awesome session yesterday, and there were a lot of questions that Roger wants to make sure he addresses. Secondly, he's going to talk about the top stocks that are moving in the afternoon, and then he's going to talk about how to properly use and decipher market internals, how to combine market internals with the Alpha Zone Pro when you're looking to day trade, using the momentum oscillator to confirm directional bias, and then also, finally, tips and tricks on how to use the Alpha Zone Pro to increase our win rate. And I know we're all interested in that. And with that, let's say hi to Roger. Roger, it's great to see you again, my friend.
You too.
How are you doing here midday? And you know how I like to start things. Any surprises from this morning to where we are today?
A
I
lot of
mean,
a lot of surprises. Mostly the big surprise is mostly with me. I'll tell you something that happened today. This is the first time that's ever happened to me before. This is the funny. Well, it's not that funny, but it's kind of funny. So I'm getting into the groove this morning, and I'm usually I have two separate computers. I have my desktop and I have my laptop, and I have my TC 2000 on my laptop, and so I'm operating, I'm getting things going. It's early. I just got into the office like 15 minutes earlier. And one of my alerts went off on MP. It was a stock I've been looking at. Looked like a really good stock. So I sent out an alert. Just like I always do, right? At 9:50.
sure. Yeah.
And I'm seeing there's no, like, usually I get a lot of emojis and all that. I'm not getting anything. So I'm like, I look again, I'm like, oh, okay. So again, I'm like, no fills. And the stock is moving. Usually I'll get like a lot of people giving me thumbs up, this, that, not getting anything. So I'm like, okay, now the stock is now in the mid 74s. I'm like, okay, guys, start taking profit. No emojis, no nothing. I'm like, this is like I'm writing something like this is a tough crowd. Like, what is it like today? Like, what do you guys like? Where's all the party poopers? Right? So I'm like, okay, now we're at 74.70. Take final profit. So I'm thinking we made about $1 on the stock in like 7 minutes, right?
Okay.
So I get an email. I'm like, man, something is off today. But I mean, well, what do I know? So I go to my regular computer, I check my email, and somebody sends me. They're like, Roger, something is wrong with your Telegram. I'm like, so I look at I look at my laptop and my Telegram.
Don't tell me.
my computer. My computer's working. My computer's working fine. My Telegram is working 7 minutes, like 6, 7 minutes late.
Delay?
Delay
Oh,
on my Telegram. So I'm literally getting out of a trade. Folks are getting into a trade. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is like, and I'm typing in like, what's going on here? it was confusing for everybody, Nathan. It was confusing for everybody. Uh, so 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 this is I've never I've posted over, I don't know, 2,000 alerts on Telegram and maybe 5,000 messages. It's never happened
And
before.
this never happened. Yeah.
Yeah, so I reset my computer, my laptop, and it started working fine. And I double checked with my. So now what I have is I have two telegrams on at one time to make sure it goes, but it's never ever happened before, and I'm hoping it's never going to happen again. But that was the oddest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm literally posting, and it's like it's a post coming up like several
It's
minutes
not happening.
later.
Somebody's going, pull a string tighter.
Yeah, yeah. So I apologize, folks, for anybody who's in the pit. I apologize for that. I am so sorry for that. That threw me completely off a loop. And be, that,
But on the flip side, Roger, we were getting all the Trading Zone Live stuff, pronto.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was not a problem because that was on Matt's computer, and Matt's computer was not
Oh,
slow.
okay. I got you.
Yeah, yeah. Matt was posting that, and that was not slow at all. That was great. Thank God. That would have been a disaster. That would have been a disaster. So yeah, yeah. Like I said, when Matt, and when I went back to my desktop and opened it on my desktop, I'm like, none of those messages are there. What the hell is going on? And then I see the first one pop up, second one pop up. Yeah, I still like the stock. Katie, we don't. I'm glad you did it privately. Don't post stocks here that we currently have or how much you're down. That's not. This is public. That's private service. You could send me an email and I'll always respond. But I've never had that happen. But I guess I should restart my laptop every day as well. I restart it every week or so. But here we are. All right. Do we have any? That's the funniest thing I've seen. So
So there's your surprise
I
today,
actually
right?
came out like a bandit. So I actually came out with like a bandit on that stock, but nobody else did. So that's not fun. That's not fun. I did, Katie. You're right. You're right. I did. You're right. I did. If I mention it, I'll game on. And plus, you posted it privately, so it's all good. But to my point, um, that was some weird s. That was some weird stuff. Okay. All right. Do we have? We yesterday I got a bunch of emails that people said that it was the best session they've ever had.
That's right.
Was the best session they've ever had. Um, I want to talk about it. I want to see if anybody has any questions. I want to see if you guys made any notes, have any questions. Kirk, do you have any questions? Thank you, Kirk. Let me know. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah,
If
because it
nobody
was.
has any questions, this will be very fast.
But it was an epic session, Roger. I mean, the comments that were coming in, because I know you're focused on your presentation, so I was watching the chat and people were just loving it. And I thought also people were kind of being honest with themselves. They were going, you're right, Roger, about four of those things I'm guilty of. And I know them and I'm still guilty of them. So I think it was a nice session just to remind everybody of our frailties as human beings and the fact that, staying disciplined and staying focused is the key. If we can get our emotions in check, which is hard to do when you operate 70% on emotions, it makes a big difference.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kirk says, how urgent is the same level? Sorry, Kirk, I don't understand your question. Just retype. I think there was some typos or something didn't get. Thank you, Bugs. Thank you for posting. I already posted it on the main Telegram channel. And we'll talk about AZP in just a few after we go through today's trades. I'll talk about AZP as well. Um, the predominant session today is going to be AZP. That's the topics. What if, let's see here. What if you have 3 or 4 of your programs? How many trades? I mentioned that, Bob, the other day. Typically, not always, but typically, you don't want to have 3 or 4. You don't want to have 3 or 4. Now, anything in the pit is not really that related because usually we're not in very long, like 24 hours versus like 7 or 8 days. That's number one. And AZP. So you got to take away Alpha Zone Pro. You got to take Trading Zone Live away from the pit and Alpha Zone Pro. Excuse me, Trading Zone Live and the pit. You got to take that away from
The day
that.
trading programs, yep.
Um,
Yeah,
You
what
seem
was interesting yesterday, Roger, what you said is that on your other services, which are longer term buy and hold swing trades, you and Matt, as you take a look at an opportunity, pay close attention to correlation. And you don't like giving correlated trades. So from that, see, people were going like, Roger, if I focus on just 3 to 4 trades, but I've got multiples of your programs, I'm afraid I'm going to miss out on something. And your point was, hey, guys, you could take them because you and Matt already do the work to avoid the correlation that works against you.
Yeah, yeah. Not always, not always. 90% of the time. 90% of the time. Sometimes we'll cheat, but very, very rarely.
Very
And
rarely.
we
Yeah.
do that because we just have a real strong basis for that trade. Okay. Um, so yeah, Sharita, I can't, I don't. Sharita made a very good point. It's difficult to limit yourself to 3 or 4 when you use programs from other gurus as well. I understand Sharita's, and what I always say is, you don't want to have more than one cook in the kitchen because the cooks, like, I have no idea what Lance is doing. I have no idea what Graham is doing. I have no idea what any of them are doing. I only know what I'm doing. And I'm not saying they're better. That's not what this is. I just have no idea. Good, bad. Like, I was telling people about my analysis on Tesla, and they were saying, why didn't that represent itself in Lance's trade? Lance and I don't talk about trades. I haven't talked to Lance maybe in 8 months. Even Kane, that's his trades. His trades. Those are his trades. So, folks, I don't know if you got the memo, but we don't follow anyone else's trades. Well, we may take those trades, but I'm not, I'm not going to consider what the diversification is based on somebody else's trades. I'm not going to do that. So again, and this is a good topic. I guess maybe some folks didn't know that. See, Jeanette says she's had to program cancel each other out. So folks, I there's a solution to this. You know what the solution is? I'll tell you. There's a solution. There's a solution. If you see 2 trades that are aligned, what you do is this: you take half and half. That's what I always say. So instead of taking 100 shares, you take 50 shares of each, and then you have one position.
Yep.
Shoot, you could take 10% of each stock if you want to do 10 different positions.
What do you call that? One serving per customer?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could do that. You could do that. For example, if you see me give out a trade on Citibank and JP Morgan, you can take 50-50. You could do that, right? That's what you do. That's how you do it. And if you think you're going to fool somebody by not doing that, you're going to fool yourself. You don't realize the level of correlation between stocks. It's mind-numbing when you see it. And I don't blame any of you for not following that rule because it's very, very subtle and nobody ever talks about it. It's like, what? Correlation? What? Yes, it's like an ocean. If you have an ocean and the ocean's doing this, everything in the ocean is going to go the same way. It is no difference. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? That's a great question. Keep track of programs. Any other questions before we move on? And folks, I'm not suggesting you shouldn't trade other people's. That's not what I'm saying. Just use common sense. Seriously, any other comments, questions, anything else I can answer?
Nope, looks like you got. I'm not seeing anything here, Roger.
Okay, all right, great.
That's okay. If questions come up, guys,
Yeah,
post them
yeah,
in the chat. I'll keep
right.
track of them. But outside of that, Roger, let's move on with the agenda.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up TC2000 so that I can give you the stocks that I'm liking for today. And let me say hello to everybody. We got Richard, Steve, Kevin, we got RP, JB, Jason, James, Devin, Afidiaz, Buck. Hey, Buck, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you here. Gabriel, good to see you guys. And here we got, and I'll be very quick here. We got Bugs, Flying Ronan, Maria, Ivano, Richard from Puente Gorda, Rosalind. I can't even pronounce that question mark. Your name, Jeff, Andrew, Peter, Flash, Jim, Jill, Miles, iPhone, Stu, Peter, Rain Dog, Kevin, Bodine, Gus, Christopher, Kevin, Karen the Shark is here. Candy, Matt, Solaire, Nathan, Shannon, Mike, William, Cyrus, Stacy, Stan, Murray. Hey, Murray. Don, Jill, it was a Twilight Zone episode. Rock, Marky, Mark, Peter, Katie, Rock, Robert, Katie, Mark, Chris, Bugs. Oh, that's beautiful, Bugs. Thank you for posting that. Rosalind, Doris, Omar, Bob, Stacy, David, Michael, Edward, Robert, Stacy, Gregory, Sharita, Flash, Sharita. I think Cyrus, Ken. Thank you, Ken. Dave, Robert, Richard, John, Marky Mark, Shannon, and Abe, Tim, Kathleen, Bernadette, the 007 trader. Oh, I like that. Pat, Ron, Joe. I love 007. Hopeton, Raleigh, and James. All right, let's do this, guys. So here's TC 2000. Let me go through the stocks that I'm liking. Short side first. It's going to be very, very quick. Very, very quick. Okay. Not a lot of them. BMA. There was another Latin stock. I forgot the name, but there was another Latin stock. I think Banco de Mexico. I forgot the name of it, but there's another Latin stock that's doing exactly this. It's below these high volume bars, so that's a really juicy downside move there. Probably options are extremely liquid, if I had to guess. Yes. See, how did I know? Okay, well, we tried, but nice looking underlying, very nice breakdown. BMW, STZ. I mentioned this morning. This is a breakdown stock on earnings. I wouldn't be doing a put, but I would be doing maybe a debit spread that expires on Friday. To give you an example, if you guys are interested, maybe going 3 days out on the put side. I'm going to go fast because this is recorded. You guys can rewatch and you can always answer questions. Ask questions. I would start with right here. I would do the 157.50. I would buy the 157.50. And I would sell the 155. I really like this a lot. Now, one of the reasons why I like it is you have $2.50 profit potential here, but you can probably do this for about $1.10 right now. $2.50, yeah, but $1.10 exactly as I said. Maybe less, maybe more, but somewhere in that ballpark. So you got a good good more than 50% ratio right there, and you're not paying very much. I would wait for a pullback to the VWAP. I wouldn't be shooting anything off right now. I would be waiting for a pullback right here. Okay, just my 5 cents. And again, I want to give you some analysis. So I may be going a little faster, but you can always rewind. SMH, by the way, is starting to break out, which is positive. Let's see how the stock market's doing. Stock market's coming up. Good. We keyed off of the 8-day. And look at the low today, by the way. Look at the low. Do you remember I tell you guys pay attention to the 8-day EMA?
Mm-hmm.
And look where the low. Tell me how off we were today. Isn't it down to a tick?
Yep.
Down to a tick.
Incredible. It's like touching an electric fence.
Folks, you don't need to hop from system to system. You don't have to keep buying different strategies. You don't keep doing. Just follow simple lines like I tell you. They work. Look, they really, really work. And by the way, I said that yesterday. I said within the next day or two, we're going to be hitting the 8-day EMA. And guess what? I said that on Telegram, and I said it this morning, and I'm saying it again. We're right here. Now, since we're already here, just want to show you something. QQQ is not above the 8-day. It's at the 8-day. Mm-hmm. It's weaker right now. It has relative weakness to the SPY ahead of big earnings on the Big Daddy, on NVIDIA. So something to be mindful of right now. Okay. Another reason why I'm kind of trying to do everything possible to stay away from technology for the next 48 hours. But Roger, you could do software. You could do No, they're related to NVIDIA. Yes, they're highly related to NVIDIA. If you don't think so, take a look at the NASDAQ after NVIDIA reports. Very correlated. All right, let me just shift this back to SPY. All right, let's continue. And folks, I'm going to have a nice little market internal session for you in just a few minutes, okay? Stand still. Now, I wouldn't be doing anything except maybe swing trading this stock. And again, I'm going to bet that no, look at this one. See, you just never know. The options on this one are not that bad, actually. But you don't need to do a debit spread. You can probably buy something right here, September 19th. There's probably better stocks than this, unless you're really bearish on foreign energy. Again, just throwing it out, there's not a lot. Like this one, for example. Like this one I really like. The other one was, eh. This is a nice looking. Hey guys, can somebody tell me? I'm not going to open the chat. I'm just going to ask you a question. Can anybody tell me what kind of a pattern is this? What kind of a pattern is this?
You're getting a lot of A-line to the downside.
It's an A line to the downside. Remember this Sunday? I told you I love the A line. When I see an A line, I can't. That's a nice looking A line. That
Hmm.
is a really nice looking A line. I may want to take this A line to the downside, but I'm not going to chase it. But this is a nice looking, very. There is nothing wrong with this right here. And again, one of the good things about oil and gas, they are, as Raleigh will tell you, they're very commoditized, so they're not going to be as related to the stock market as other stocks. That's a nice one. And I mean, the only thing here, it's starting to go sideways, but even sideways, it can still come down right here,
Hmm.
which is about $1.50 down.
It's
So
got to be
anyways,
looking good if it's going to convince you to do a short, Raj.
yeah, because I'm telling you, this is very nice right here. This is very so anyway, I would go right here, 80 delta. You'd be about 650. You're buying this for you're not paying anything for this option. You're buying it intrinsically. You know what that means, folks? You're buying it at par. Look how much intrinsic value it has. Have you ever bought an option at par, Raleigh?
No,
Here's an option at par.
there you go.
If you can get this at below 652, you're buying it at par. And you know what a mathematician, if there's are there mathematicians in the room? I'm pretty
I
sure we have some.
We
People
have
will tell you
some.
that if
Yep.
you keep buying options without premium below the fair value that show good downside, that's a really good risk to reward. Look, no premium in the option. You're buying it for intrinsic value. Just if you like numbers, it's pretty impressive right there. Okay. Now let's look to the long side, okay? Uh Newmont is looking great, looking really, really good. Let's see here.
Newmont's been on your upside list for a while.
It has.
Yep.
The companies are starting to outperform better than they're starting to outperform do better than the physical commodity here. If you look at gold is kind of choppy right now.
Mm-hmm.
But like Newmont, Barrick, see what I mean? They're moving. They're
Yep.
moving. And that's just how they work. They're like one leads, then the other lead. It's like you just can't always compare the physical asset to a company that runs with economy. There's the economic factors that are not being taken into account with the commodity. Okay. Newmont, I'm going to tell you guys something here. There there may be some opportunities here for you to take some positions that expire in the next few days. But you don't want to do that on something like Newmont because the ATR is a buck 50. So that's not something you want to do. You want to go maybe 24 days out and maybe go to a 0.70 delta, about 350. You're only paying less. You're paying about $1.35 for this, okay? You're not really paying a lot of money for this, okay? You're not really paying a lot of money for this. Think about this. This is intrinsic. This is priced in. This is if it was exercised, that's what you would have. 217 that you could exercise and you're paying 350. It's not a bad price. Okay, let's continue. RCL. Actually, this one I had in mind. So I'm going to give you guys a bonus trade. I don't know how well this is going to work out, but I'll give you a bonus trade. Let's see. Yep, 0.49. Okay. What's the ATR here? Okay, $9. Yes, I'll give you a bonus trade. And I'll explain to you why I'm doing this. So, how's the stock looking? Is it in the gap? Yes. Is it coming back up to swing highs? Yes. Are earnings anytime soon? No. How's the trading action? Very smooth, right? Okay. Why don't we go? What's the closest here to delta 0.50? Right here, 0.49. We'll buy the 350 and we'll sell the 350 352.50. Let's see here. Problem is it's a little too expensive. I don't want you to pay more than $1.25 here. Yeah, you're gonna have to put a limit order and just see if it gets filled. But if this thing moves, it potentially has $2.50, but I don't want you to pay more than $1.25 for it. Okay? I don't want you to pay more than $1.25 for it. But that's a pretty good trade right there. And all it has to do is just go back to its old range to get there. Okay? Okay, let's continue. Continue. Raleigh, I don't have. My chat is closed, so I have no
Yep.
idea what people are posting. But are we moving in the right direction?
We
Everything's
are
good.
definitely moving in the right direction. There's a number of people that are liking your comments. Richard said he's up 58% on RCL.
Nice, nice.
Nice comments with regard to gold and miners. Things are moving along nicely, Roger. And once again, Raj into the group. If I see something that really is worth interrupting Roger on because it's germane to where he is, I'll do that. I'll do that, no problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, so let's continue this. So GLW, it's at the brink of being a little overextended, but I really but it's not overextended. It's almost overextended, but I really love the intraday and I love the daily. I wouldn't even look here if I didn't like the daily. Matter of fact, the intraday and the daily kind of look alike. So they,
By the way, there was a question, Raj. On
yes,
the expiration for RCL, you're looking at the weekly 829
yes.
or 95.
I'm
So the
looking at
weekly,
Friday's
Fridays.
expiration, Friday's
Okay.
expiration. And let me explain to you why I'm looking at Friday's expiration. Because you see this 352.50? It's very expensive right now. It's very, very expensive all right. uh, Look at the ratio right here. Look at this right here. There's like a dollar here in between them, right? And there's like $1.50 in between these two right now, or dollar, but these are priced less. So this is more expensive right now compared to this, where this covers a lot more of this. And as time decays, as the week rapidly decays, this is going to decay to nothing. This is out of the money, guys. This is going to be worth nothing on Friday. And this could still be this could be worth whatever it's worth. So my point is you have a lot more decay and a lot more inflation here that's speculating that this price is going to go lower than here. And you can always offset this and get this one, but that's just my 5 cents. Okay, again, I'm just giving you guys free trades. This is a learning exercise here. VSAT. I like this pattern. Looks very much like this, actually, like GLW. All right. So here I would go about 3 weeks out. I would go to about 72 delta, and I would go 66 call right here. Not expensive. And here, VSAT, I would probably go 24 days out, 72 delta, right here, 26 call as well. Okay. WDC, I would be very careful with this in light of NVIDIA earnings. I would be very, very, very cautious here in light of NVIDIA earnings. And also, it's starting to get a little, this is a little too deviated. Let's see. ATR is $2. Let's see. Yeah, we're too deviated. We need to wait. So we're too deviated, and we have NVIDIA earnings, so stay away from that. BKNG. Choppy, very choppy. Definitely not a day trading stock. Look how choppy the stock is. Every day literally runs into every other day. Look how you got all these wicks. Every bar has wicks, and it's choppy. You have price data going inside other price data, inside other price data, inside other price data. Okay, that's not good. We don't want that. Okay, we don't want that. Okay. DKS. I think I've shopped more at this store this year, and I'm not joking. I'm not kidding either, than any other store. I tend to wear a lot of sportswear, and I'm pretty athletic, so I don't really shop for suits. I shop more for Under Armour and Nike and things like that. So this is a great store for that. We have one right here at the mall. Matt, this may be a perfect trade for one of our swing trades right now. Could be. Mm-mm. Nope. No soup. No soup. No, no, it can't. Earnings. If but for earnings, this would be a real nice true trend or this would be a very nice type of trade because it looks like it's bottoming out right at the 8-day EMA. We would wait for it to start coming back up. As long as that's a bottom, volume is moving up. Very nice move right here off the 8-day. Okay, those are all my picks for today. We went through that pretty quickly. So I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about AlphaZone Pro right here, and I want to talk about the market internals and their relationship with each other. Okay, because a lot of folks have a problem understanding this. Okay, so one of the questions that I got, and I get this question quite often. I do get this question quite often is Roger, what if you get a signal like right here, like let's say we get a low here, we get a high, and we get the little turnaround bar that didn't come here because this bar is too low, and this is turning. We get all that, all the stuff that you want to see happens. But. So we're ready to go short, but the Vold is going up. It's not going down. But more importantly, there's no divergence between the Vold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, folks, here's the thing. I'm going to explain this again to you. Unless the Vold is doing something like this right here, like this, see this price action right here,
Mm-hmm.
or this right here, the Vold is useless. Useless. See how it's trending up right now? See how it's inside of all of this range? It's inside all of this muck. It's not trending. It's just, this is choppy. This is choppy price action. It went up, it went down, it went back up, and now we don't know where it's going to go. When the Vold does that, it doesn't have very much meaning. And a lot of folks, what I see a lot of folks doing is they kind of are trying to make the Vold into what they want it to be. Okay? You can't do that. You can't do that. Now, here's the good part. If the Vold is not doing much, if it's not doing much, don't worry about it. Just trade off of this. That means that what that means, look at what it means. If the Vold is not doing much, that means you're going to have rotations. You're not here. You're here, right? Especially if the ADD is not over 12 or 14 or 1500, if it's playing around between 500 and 80, which is pretty much all the stocks are right where they closed yesterday. Not a lot of stocks are running up right now, running up and trying to make 52-week highs. That's not happening right now. Most stocks are exactly where they were this morning, okay? Look, 87. I mean, where they were yesterday. That's significant because that tells you there's not a lot of momentum. There's not a lot of energy in the market. It takes energy to make a lot of stocks rise. There's no energy and there's hardly any rotation. And if you don't have a lot of rotations, then you're not going to have you may have rhythm, but it's going to fizzle out. So if you look at this right now, you can't read too much into this. You just can't. It's not going to have a lot. What you're doing is the same thing. What you're doing in effect is the same thing as in the morning picking catalysts that are not there. What you're doing is breaking rule number one, thinking you know something when you don't, because what you're doing is you're making decisions based on a Vold that's completely random. For the Vold to be unrandom right now, it has to get above this high and stay there and show a real nice trend, continuous trend, or it has to break this low with gusto and really, really pick up. Now, right now, let me just say something. And I think Raleigh and I actually covered this the other day. Right now, volume on the SPY, it's already 12:30 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Volume is 17 million. That's very, very low volume because the day is effectively halfway over. And we're not even at 30. If you look at the average here, it's about 70 million. We're at 17. So what is the Vold? It's a volume indicator. It's not based on price. It's based on volume. If you don't have a lot of volume, what do you think the volume indicator is going to do? It's like asking for, it's like saying, why is the VIX not doing anything? It's like trying, okay, you know what it's like? It's like trying to make sense of the VIX when the VIX is below 20 and it's just not doing anything. It's not giving you what you want. So, so very, very important. Please don't make something out of the VIX, out of the Volt that it is not. And yes, I wasn't confusing the two. I was talking about VIX a minute ago, okay? Don't confuse this for something it is not. Don't make something out of it. The first thing you do is this. The first thing you do is this. What's the volume on the day? Do we have high volume? Do we have unusually high volume, or is volume lower than average? If volume is lower than average, that's like what your brake pads. That's like your brake pads are slightly worn out. They're not working 100%. They're not working right. The dolphins sonar radar, the dolphins, it's not, dolphin drank a little too much margarita. It's not working on all fours. You understand? So you can't put too much emphasis into the Volt when the Volt is being random, and two, when volume is not high, and three, when ADD when ADD is not at a real high level unless the mags are moving, because you can have movement in the mags and the ADD will not register that. Because remember, this measures the number of stocks. Capiche?
Yep.
Does everybody understand that? Now, see,
Roger,
like,
is this where we want to play Careless Whisper in the background? I love that analogy this morning. What
right,
is
right. Yeah, Careless Whisper, not Metallica. You know when Careless Whisper is on the radio and know when Metallica is on the radio. It's a very, very different vibe. Okay. And if you can't tell the difference, don't trade. And if you think you know the difference, but you really can't, don't trade. Because what's the number one mistake people make that prevents them from getting? See, the problem with thinking you know is it's not the foolishness of you not getting the result you want. That's secondary. It stops you from actually learning something useful. Because if you think you know something, what do you need to learn it? What do you need to learn it again? Because you already know it, right? So you see how this is moving up right now? I want to see this go above here, and I would need to see a divergence. You're not seeing any of this. So right now, these two bars, they mean almost nothing. Another bar this way, okay, that means I'm going to start only looking at longs.
right?
But that's all it means. I'm not like basing my life on it, okay? So understand this has limitations. And one of the biggest limitations is end of August when volume is 2/3 of its normal volume. That takes this and it makes it on one leg. It's going to be, it's not going to be firing off on all fours. Now let's talk a little bit about ADD, and this is where I want to make sure you guys don't get confused. Sometimes when you see Matt and me trade, the Trading Zone Live, or when you're trading in here you're by yourself. When you're trading here, I'm going to teach you this. When you're using the Alpha Zone Pro, and you're looking at your internals, okay, and you're looking at your internals. If you see, and this is something that people just don't want to accept, your risk on a trade and your reward on a trade has to take into consideration the ADD. If you don't take the ADD into consideration, let me ask you a question, okay? If I throw a basketball from the 10th floor, a basketball from a 10th floor, 100 feet in the air, how much do you think it'll bounce up? What do you think, Raleigh? Take a guess.
Halfway, maybe to the fifth floor.
No, I don't think that much. I mean, that's pretty optimistic. But I'm thinking maybe 20 feet, 15
20
feet.
feet, okay. Second, third
A
floor.
lot, 15,
Yeah.
20 feet. Okay. What if a kid takes a basketball, a 5-year-old kid takes a basketball and does this with it? How high do you think it's going to go up?
And come back to him.
Maybe if he's lucky, right?
Yeah.
Like up to here. Okay. Now everybody understands that, right? You guys understand what I just said, right? That's what ADD is. ADD is telling you how much rhythm you have in the market. And let me explain why. If I'm trading a stock and the stock is sitting all day where it closed yesterday, it's just sitting all day where it closed yesterday. Is anybody going to pay attention to that stock? No. It's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. It's not moving. It's close to where it was yesterday. That doesn't even make its way into my pro. Did you know that in order for a stock to make its way into a pro trader dashboard, it has to be above or below yesterday's close?
Mhm.
If it's not above or below yesterday's close, it doesn't make its way into my dashboard. Okay. So it has to be moving. So what this does, this literally measures the number of stocks trading above and below yesterday's close. If you have 12, 13, 1,400 stocks trading below yesterday's close or above yesterday's close, and all of a sudden a fund comes in and moves them, those stocks are very vulnerable. Like look at MP today, unfortunately, right? Opened up much higher and went up. But if MP just closed, opened where it was, it would just probably sit there. Point is this, and you want to write this down. If a stock is in motion, it will usually stay in motion. If a stock is not in motion, a stock will usually stay flat. But what the hell does that have to do with trading the AZP, Roger? You're not even trading stocks, you're trading the market. Well, guess what? If you have a lot of stocks opening up, you're creating the market's going to gap up, it's going to move, the volatility is going to increase. You're going to have the movement, the basketball coming from 100 feet up. And when you have movement, what do you got to do? First of all, you got to give your trades a little more room or you're going to get stopped out because you have more movement. Number two, you can give your trades a little more room to move your way. You have movement. But if the stocks are flat, well, first of all, you're going to see a bunch of this in the market. But do you need to be as careful with your stop losses when nothing is moving? No. Do you have to literally sit there in front of the computer every 10 seconds if nothing is No. It changes the dynamic of the game. It's like playing basketball with kids that are 4 feet tall versus playing basketball with professional ball players. This tells you if you're playing basketball with little kids or professional ball players. This is telling you this because this is literally telling you how many stocks are above or below yesterday's high or low. And if you and why does that matter if you're not trading stocks? Because that's telling you what you're dealing with. It's telling you if you're listening to Metallica or if you're listening to Careless Whisper. Big difference. Big difference. Huge difference, right? Very, very big difference. So this becomes very, very important. Well, Roger, what about how do you use this with this? Okay, so let me tell you. See, right now where Volt is doing, now I would only start taking longs. I don't care about the divergence. I would still just be taking longs right now. I wouldn't be taking shorts. But I wouldn't be looking at this for any kind of divergence plays till this is trending. Which means this has to be above this level or below this level right here. And by the way, the market's completely cooperating with this move. It's not really doing anything bad or anything like that. Okay, now, similarly, you know how it's really important to know if VIX is above 20 or below 20? Well, exactly the same thing here. If this is at 1,200, 1,400, 1,500, 1,800, you have a market that's completely non-random and a market that's being completely supported by institutions, one side or another. One thing about this, if this is up above over 1,000, you're not going to have a mixed market. You're going to have a market that's really up or real down. So how do you interpret this if you have a one-sided market, a real clean one-sided market? You don't use this. That's when you're using this right here. First of all, typically when that happens, this will show you the right way and you're not going to see a lot of divergence. they'll both be glued to each other
Hmm.
and they'll be moving exactly in the same direction. So you're not really going to see much surprise here. But if this is at, if this is, so here's the nutshell, in a nutshell. If this is at 1400, 1500, 1200, up there over nicely over 1,000, don't try to fade the market. Do not try to fade the market. Not a great idea. Now I'm going to teach you something using this and the Pro and the Alpha Zone Pro together. So what I'm going to talk about does not apply to this side of the fence. So automatically, for all of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we only look here when ADD is above 1500 or below 1500, and we look there when this is above 900 or below 900, although I would start looking at it at 750. Okay. And you could see today this is not giving us anything. No volume, no directional bias from here, no movement on stocks, volatility falling all day. There's just not much going on right now. That's what this is telling us right now. And the 5-day point of control is right above where we are right now. 2-day point of control is this 2-day or 5-day, Matt? This is 2-day.
5-day.
5-day. 5-day. Yeah, 5-day point of control. So the 5-day average is right here. Right here at 644. Okay. So I'm going to teach you something very, 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 very sneaky. Okay. I'm going to show you this right now. And so don't get confused and don't confuse things that I'm saying. I'm going to try to be very clear on this. When I am not looking here, so what I'm going to talk about right now does not apply to this side. This side is useful only about 20% of the time. 80% of the time we're here. We're stuck here. Okay. So I'm going to teach you something. I'm going to teach you a little trick right now that'll help you see validations for highs and lows. Okay. So one way to know if you're here is, well, you can just look at price action. If you're good at reading price action, you'll know just by looking at price action. How will you know? Well, you're going to see a lot of overlapping bars. You're going to see a lot of price that just goes back and forth. You're going to see a lot of wicks. You're going to see a market like it's dying, like it has no fuel, like there's nothing there at all. Okay, there's nothing there for this market. It's just very choppy, very overlapping, no energy market. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Another way is, I've already said it, you can simply keep your eye on this. If this is at 200 and if this is not trending, you know, and if this is not moving, if this is moving back and forth from 400 to 400, I could assure you, the biggest one is right here, 1500. This needs to be 12, 1500, then you know you're looking at the right side. If not, you don't need to look at the right side. So everything I'm going to teach you right now is all about looking at this side. I've never talked about this. I'm going to give you a good little tip. So you know how Matt and I, we give you the arrows and we give you the levels and we give you the momentum oscillator and all that, right?
Hmm.
So one of the things I want you guys to be mindful of is this. See how when price is approaching a level, when it's approaching a level. Now, again, only when the markets have very little energy and they're chopping around and they're not trending. You do never, ever take this advice if the markets are here. Because that's the opposite of what you want to do. Literally, that's the opposite of what you want to do, okay? So it's very, very important for you to understand context here. Because if you're here, this is going to backfire really bad, okay? This is what you never want to do here. You only want to do it here. And you only want to be here 80% of the time or when markets are, doing their thing. Okay, so what you will notice more often than not, okay, you're not going to read this in any book. Nobody's ever going to tell you this. But when you start seeing us getting up to these levels, start noticing for range expansion. Wait a minute, Roger, range expansion? Everywhere I've read tells me that range expansion happens when the market's moving, getting ready to move. You mean you want us to avoid coming here when you see a range expansion? No. when you see price approaching these levels, and when you see a range expansion, 9 out of 10 times that will signify exhaustion. So one of the things I want you guys to start, and I'm talking to you, Bugs, and I'm talking to you, Richard, and I'm talking to you, Omar, because I've never taught this to you guys before. One of the sneakiest things I want you to start looking when price is approaching these levels is a bigger bar than the last few bars. If the bars are all big, then it's irrelevant. But if the last 5, 6 bars were this big and the bar that's approaching this level or right at that level is bigger than these bars, that's a really good sign that you're topping out. Now, to most of you, that sounds very counterintuitive because you're taught that range gets extended as price is moving, as it starts to move. And that is very, very true. But in this circumstance, we have a context when price is fairly sleepy and range bound and rotational. And in rotations, usually you see that price action coming really close to the levels. Why does that happen close to the levels? Does anybody want to try and answer that question? Let's see. Raleigh, I'm not looking at the chat, so you're going to have to be
No
my guide.
answers to the question right now, but there when you get a chance, Roger, Stewart asked the question. He's going like, Roger, you talk about range expansion. When you get a moment, can you tell me what range expansion means? So just put that in the back of your mind when it's appropriate.
Yeah. I'll show you right now, Stuart. I'm going to draw something and you'll see it.
So
Sometime
let me see. Volume is down, snapback. These are some of the comments that you're getting to your question. No real bias, support and resistance. Institutions go by levels.
that's range expansion, Stuart.
Oh, excuse me. That's range expansion. Okay.
That's range expansion right there.
Okay. Great.
Do you see how small, bigger, bigger, bigger? So here, look, here's the bars, right? Here's the bars. And you see a little baby bars like this. Little baby bars like this. Baby bars. And you're waiting to sell right here. And all of a sudden you see a big bar here like this. You're in the right, you're doing something right. You're in the right place. The odds are that's the last big bar.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody else want to take a shot why it happens?
Chris says to trap people.
Yes, because we're using institutional levels.
Yep.
And you and I are not the only ones. Market makers and institutions have these levels. These are exactly the same levels they are using. So when they see price approaching that levels, they execute some orders to push the retail trader into getting trapped, and then they offset the other side.
Yep.
And if you watch the market long enough, you'll start noticing that. You'll start noticing this. Price is going up and down, up and down, up and down. And all of a sudden, starts doing this, right? The way it always does. Whoop. See that bar?
Mm-hmm.
See that bar? The odds are you're in the right place. Like a magnet trying to get trying to get you to go long here. Right around these levels, right around these levels. That's usually a top out. Have you guys ever seen anyone explain that to you before?
I haven't, Roger. I haven't. And once again, as you said, it's a trap, and it's a trap for a variety of reasons. It's not personal.
No, it's not
just that
personal.
These are levels that are being defended by the money makers and the
Yeah.
hedge funds, market makers.
Yeah. They're trying to get you to go long around these levels. They're trying to get you to go long the turning points. And by the way,
Yeah, people are loving this lesson, Roger.
oh yeah?
Oh yeah, and people are going like, a lot of people have been caught in this trap.
See
Because
that?
you try to get in early on a long. You're going like, wait a minute, it's going to poke through. Let's get in right now and ride it up.
It's a trap. So if you've been doing this for many years, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that happens all the time. Low range, low range, low range, and then boom. Oh, that now you still want to wait for confirmation for your short, but that's a really good signal that we're going to start moving in the other direction. Now, I'm going to say this again because oh, do I know somebody's going to misinterpret this. Now, if the market is moving, there's a trend, and we're not in a rotational, we're not doing this. We're moving like this. Very, like boom, 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 boom. And it's just moving up, and there's a lot of volume, and there's a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of energy, and we're singing Metallica. You do not want to do what I just showed you. This only works when we're in a rotational, good, choppy channel with established highs and lows, where there's no surprises on no news. I will see market makers and floor traders. Well, back then it was floor traders. Now market makers and algos, they have these levels. Where do we get these levels from? We got them from algos. These are algo levels. That's the exact levels they use every day. That's why they work so well. Otherwise, if they didn't work so well, I would just draw my own levels. And you guys by now know my levels work really, really well. And I'm telling you that when you see price getting near these levels right here, and you see the price range being extended, boom, boom. So, was that worth the price of admission today?
Yeah. And the thing is this, as you know, Roger, there are multiple levels that are printed every day. So once again, the market makers, the implied volatility, they give us a range. And we're in the narrowest of the ranges right now.
Yes, yes. And by the way, it's very easy to do that when we're in range.
Yep.
All right. Here's the current chart. I have the current chart. I showed you. Here's a bar right there. There it is right there. We're approaching this level. All of a sudden, volume. I mean, today volume is really low. So, but I'm telling you, coming up, and all of a sudden starts going up. Whoa! And you're like, oh my God, should I fade this or should I go with it? I'm going to go with it. I'm not. That's usually the banana in the tailpipe. That's usually the last exhaustion. That's usually they're giving you as much as they can so they can take the other side of the trade. And I see it happening all the time here, all the time. But again, it only works when you're in a rotation. It doesn't work when you're 90-day high breaking.
Move,
and we're only talking about indexes here. We're not talking about stocks. Okay, folks, I got some news for you. Nobody is going to teach you that. I'm going to ask you a question, Matt. Did you know this?
I did.
I know you did, but did I ever teach it to you?
Yep.
How long ago?
A while.
Long time ago. See, so a lot of time, and this is why a lot of the times we'll get an email. Roger, you did this trade. What were you doing? Well, I know exactly why I gave you the trade, but you can't expect me to put 31 years of experience into my brain. So, folks, I'm going to do another class of Alpha Zone Plus. A lot of folks missed it yesterday, wanted me to do it again. We'll see what the reaction is, but a lot of folks wanted this. There's a discount going on it right now. And how do we do today, Matt?
We're 2 for 3.
In Trading Zone, how do we do yesterday?
Yesterday we were,
I think 2 for 2.
yes. Just
Yeah.
confirming.
All right. So everything's coming along well. Folks, again, my chat is going to be closed. Raleigh's going to be watching over us. Matt, go ahead and give them a link in YouTube and shut it down in about 10 minutes, okay? Don't forget, okay, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
And folks, I'm going to explain the basics behind Alpha Zone Pro, and I'm going to cover all the details. So if you missed anything, I'll talk about it right now. And if you have any questions about what I showed you today, and again, notice I didn't ask you to bait. You don't have to use any indicators. You have to use your eye. You have to use your eye during these rotations, those turning points. Look for that little up move. It's really big. Now, Matt, do you want me to tell you how I? Do you guys want me to tell you how I learned? Now, this is worth the price of admission. Do you know how I learned that? Do you guys want to know how I learned that? That's the key.
Absolutely. It'd be a nice way to wrap up the session.
Yes, I learned it by using cumulative delta. By learning about cumulative delta many, many years ago, because cumulative delta does that all the time. So if you guys are order flow readers and you know how cumulative delta expands before it reverses, That's where I got that from. I said, well, I wonder if the market does that too, and it does during rotations. So there's a lot I have to teach you, and there's a lot more things we're going to be adding in the Alpha Zone Pro. I'm actually thinking of adding a filter that measures the range expansion on the left bar. See, look at this bar right here before I turn around. Look right here. Look at my mouse right here. Look where, oh, right there. See that bar where my mouse is?
Yep.
There's that bar right there. There's that bar right there. All right, folks, pay close attention. Don't go anywhere. I'll take half an hour of your time. And can you see my screen, everybody?
I can see your
Yeah.
screen, and I think at this point in time, Roger, we need to stop the feed to YouTube. So
Yes,
I hope the YouTubers have come over to